Hey, this is Faith and Bishop 2, and I'm back with another exciting movie review. This movie is available on Prime TV and is called Swarm. It's produced by Donald Glover, who's famous for ATL, a series that ran for several seasons on FX and just recently did its finale. So if you're familiar with his work, this particular show kind of runs parallel to that. I would say it's opening the universe of ATL for those of you who are fans. I don't think you actually have to be a fan to enjoy this particular film. This series, Swarm, is basically a satire of sorts. They're listed as comedy and drama, but I guess you can probably put it as horror as well, because the main character in this film is an obsessed fan with a superstar, and she becomes a serial killer. It's very it's out there. I must say that the star of the show is a Dominique Fishbank. I'm not very familiar with her, but she did a phenomenal job as the main character, Dre/Tony. We'll get to that in a moment. Chloe Bailey is also a part of this film. I've never really seen her act. I obviously know her as a singer and being discovered by Beyonce herself. Her and her sister, it's Chloe and Halle. So I'm familiar with them on the music side, but I've never actually seen her act, and she did really well in this film. Billie Eilish is also a part of this film, as well as Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris Jackson. If you watch closely, you shouldn't miss her. Donald Glover, again, is the producer of this series, and I think it's worth the watch, I would say. I do have some issues with it, as I do a lot of things, but we'll get to it in just a moment. Basically, if you are a Beyonce fan, you're going to get every single reference in this film. I keep saying film, series. I'm going to use it interchangeably. But yeah, you're going to get the references right away. It starts with the basic countdown for the tour. I think the tour is called the Evolution, I believe, something along that line. I think it's Evolution. And of course, we have the Renaissance tour going on with Beyonce. And of course, the ticket prices are ridiculous. It's based in Houston, Texas. This particular series as well. And when I say the parallels are just there, the only thing that separates Nyjah, who is the superstar in this film, from Beyonce is one is fair skinned or light skinned, and Nyjah is dark skinned. That's about it. Everything else screams Beyonce. The level of fandom, even the costuming that you see her in, and the videos that you see her in, Nyjah. All Beyonce, all the way down to the hat that she had on at the very beginning of the Coachella performance. If you remember that, you even see it. You see her husband and her dressed up like Beyonce and Jay-Z when they did their album together, and they were in the place where the Mona Lisa painting is. If you remember that video, I can't think of the video right now, but they're dressed in the suits. She had on a pink suit, and I think his suit was like a blue or green, something along those lines. And you see all of it right there in the film. So yeah, if you're a Beyonce fan, you're definitely gonna catch all the Beyonce references. I thought it was really good. The title itself, Swarm. Of course, that's what bees do. They swarm. So, yeah, I totally understood this to be a real Beyonce. I guess I won't call it a parody, but a satire. I guess it would be the correct term for what we're watching. It does have some very comical moments, but it also has some serious moments and some moments that are just pretty far out there. There are a group of girls that you're going to see at some point in the series that really remind me of the characters and the cast from the Players Club. If you watch that that particular movie, and it's hysterical, the antics that they get themselves into. Now the series begins with Dre and Chloe Bailey, who plays her best friend. You immediately recognize her to have some form of mental illness because she attempted to take her life, or at least there's reference to it. She goes through basically a bad breakup with the boyfriend, and then the boyfriend actually tries to come on to Dre. Dre is really attached to Chloe's character, and she warns her about this guy. They have their spat. Chloe, I'm sorry, I keep calling her Chloe, but she moves out, and basically the guy does her wrong, cheats on her, and she unalives herself. And that's pretty much the very first episode. So it immediately draws you in. And then you see basically Dre's descent into slow madness. You know, what's so funny is I can only think of one female serial killer, Eileen Moros out of Florida. If you remember her, the movie Monster was made about her actual real life story. But this, again, I wouldn't put it on that level. Obviously, I don't think it's going to win any Emmys or Oscars or anything like that. But it was good. It was absolutely good. But there are so few female serial killers that made this to be a very interesting watch. Basically, she's a super fan, and if you speak anything against Nyjah, she's going to sting you. And in her case, her stings basically ended in cut into your life. You know what I mean? But it's a lot more going on to it, but that's the central basis of it. She is a super fan through and through. So, I mean, you get to watch all of the craziness that we see around Beyonce, all of the fandom, and the people that are anti-Beyonce, all at the same, all at the same time. So I think it's a very great way of packaging what we see going on in real life. There's an episode where Donald Glover will actually pop in and talk about creating the show. So you have these balances of reality and fiction and somewhere in between. You know, if you watched ATL, then you understand the way that he does his shows. So you have those kind of circular things going on all at the same time. But it's a very, very good watch. It's kind of gruesome at times. So if you have a weak stomach, you want to make sure you don't eat right before you're watching the film, because it can be a little bit intense. But it was a great watch, I thought. Now I was a bit confused on the ending, as it was left very ambiguous. And once you watch it, I'd be happy to come live and actually talk about what you guys thought of the ending. The ending, basically, it ends with her, Dre, has transitioned from female to male and is now living as Tony. This is after her friend is gone and after she has basically unalived several people along the way. And again, she's using social media to track down people. She is going through Twitter and Instagram and all of these popular social media apps. And if you've said anything wrong or anything that she doesn't agree with regards to Nyjah, the superstar, then yeah, she's gonna come after you. You know what I mean? And you really see that, on social media. You don't see people being unalived. At least I don't know anybody that's been unalived about Beyonce, but I do and have experienced, the level of, the way that they come at you for saying anything that they feel is negative about a superstar, which I think is a bit too far with regards to fandom. Again, I can love a person and, excuse me, and disagree with something they've said or done or, worn, because people are right now losing their minds about Sierra, which another subject for another day. But you just really cannot say anything about Beyonce, or in this case, Nyjah, without someone losing their minds. And I think that's where being a fan, excuse me, sorry. I was trying to hold that one in. But without a fan just losing it on you, you know what I mean? So this is a great, the film is just such a great way of displaying and showing the level of fandom that's out there towards some of these people, where, they're treating her like a god, or in this case. Now they're treating Niger like a god, and now to a degree, people are treating Beyonce like a goddess of sorts. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of hers, but I'm not a Beehive member. I think Beehive is when you really you're out there. You know what I mean? I respect her. I respect her. I like a lot of the things she's done. Some things I disagree with. Some of the music that I don't particularly care for. To be honest with you, the current album is not one that I particularly care for. You know, I've listened to it once all the way through. I like some of the remixes that have been done to her songs right on other social media apps like TikTok. But the album itself, I'm not a huge fan of. Watch the Swarm start. And this is what this, you know what I mean? This is how this film goes, you know what I mean? Being honest, I'm just being honest about it. Loved Lemonade. The Formation tour was the first one that I actually went, when me and my wife went and saw her live at the start of the Formation tour. Excellent on stage. Puts on a beautiful performance. Very exciting. I mean, she was wonderful. She was worth the money at the time. Now, the ticket prices that I've been seeing here currently with the resales in the thousands of dollars, that's a bit far for me and a little bit out of my budget for a couple hours of entertainment. So I'm gonna have to miss her on this tour. Besides, I'm not a big fan of the Renaissance album, so I'm okay with missing this one. But hopefully, I'll get to see her again in the future. Neither here nor there. Back to Swarm. But yeah, Swarm is that super fan for Niger. But again, she does unalive quite a few people. We get close to the end of the other film. I'm trying not to give everything away because I do want you to go and watch it and then come back and we can discuss it, you know, in the comment section, or I can go live and we can discuss it even more. But the last two episodes is what I really want to talk about for just a few minutes before I let you go. When it comes down to the ending of the film, she's transitioned from female to male. Along the way, she'd become a stripper. You know, she was living in a car. I mean, she goes through a whole lot, but her love for Niger just never diminishes. You know what I mean? It just never changes from childhood all the way until the very end. Basically, after she transitions over to Tony, the character that, or the male that she's become, she enters a relationship with the woman. The episode prior to this, there's a detective that is basically on the hunt for a serial killer, and she's on track for catching Dre. But what you see is a dynamic shift in the film where, you know, they mirror each other in ways, you know what I mean? The cop and Dre, where, you know, this is what could have happened, because you see the cop's whole family, and you know, they may not have a lot of money, but there's lots of love there. She has so much attention for the kids, that kind of thing. And you see, you know, what could have been had she had the right parenting. You later find out that Dre it doesn't have any parents. She was in the foster system, that kind of thing. And you see, you know, the ramifications or the negative effects that it had on her being, you know, a part of the system. But, you know, that's in the series as well. To a degree, she and Chloe Bailey's characters were mirrors of each other, and you see that play out in the end of the film as well, where, you know, Chloe and they were dealt a certain hand, you know what I mean? And because of the hands they were dealt, you know, this is what the environment does. You know, there's nature and nurture, you know what I mean? And so nature versus nurture is what sent each of them on the paths that they were on. Same for Niger and Tony, Dre, that sort of thing. The very last episode, though, she's madly in love with the woman. She seems to have gotten her madness under control, at least we thought, until the girlfriend makes the mistake of disrespecting Niger. She had spent $4,000 of their dollars on tickets to see Niger, and the girlfriend was very unhappy with Tony. And Tony is Dre after she transitioned, and she basically folds the tickets up puts them in her pocket to say, we're not going to go there. I don't even like Nija. I would much rather have seen her sister. Of course, Beyonce has a sister as well, Solange. So, like I say, you'll see those references throughout the whole film. And so she snaps, as she has snapped in many of the other episodes. She chokes the woman until she expires. And then she cuddles up with her and falls asleep. She then burns the body up and heads to the concert, Nija's concert. She gets to the concert only to realize that when she burned the body, she also burnt the $4,000 tickets up, so she doesn't have a way into the show. She goes to the ticket counter and tries to get the tickets, but of course she has to show ID, which she doesn't have. She then tries to buy scalp tickets as well, and she unalives a guy in a car in order to get the ticket. She enters the concert venue in the nick of time. Nija, we finally get to see in full-on concert, and it is very Beyonce. So she runs to the front where she had these front row tickets, and rushes the stage. The bodyguards pull her off, and then Nija, Beyonce, basically says, "Okay, let her go. Let's allow her to sing." So, of course, she doesn't really sing, but she thanks the crowd, and Nija does without using words, and she's standing behind her to get the crowd to participate. So the crowd goes wild, and then you see Nija and the girl, and Tony, I'm sorry, leaving the venue together, getting in the car, and that's pretty much how the film ends. Here's the thing: Nija's face changes, and you see, instead of Nija, you actually see Chloe Bailey's face. That was she's the other character in the film, and we are left with the question of, did any of this happen? At what point does the fiction end and the reality begin? So I liked it for the fact that it's ambiguous. It causes conversation, and like I say, if you've watched ATL, then you're very familiar with this tactic with regards to the work that Donald Glover does. I'm trying my best not to say Danny Glover. I mix them up, even though I know one is Mr. from The Color Purple, and the other is the guy from ATL, but it's Donald, not Danny. But yeah, I was very, very perplexed. And me and my subscriber got into a pretty heated debate on, where the reality ended and began. My personal thought on it is that she couldn't have made it to that concert in order to unalive a person, wrap their body up, take them somewhere and burn them up, drive to the concert, then go through the drum up trying to get these tickets. I just feel like you would have missed the concert. There was just not enough time to do all of these things. So I think that, of course, I do believe that she was, in fact, a serial killer. But I believe her the last actual real moment was, the very last moment of the film is when she unalives the girlfriend. I think she falls asleep, and what we see is basically a dream sequence, because I just don't think there was enough time. So I would love to know what you all think of this particular film. After you've watched it, again, we can reconvene, or if you can drop your thoughts in the comments, I'd be happy to respond to them as well. Those are just some of my takeaways from the film. I loved that the mirroring of Beyonce, the real artist, and Nija, the fictional character. I love the idea of having a female serial killer, and I do like the idea of this fandom going just way too far, because people are just losing it about Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's great. I do believe that Beyonce has to be a part of this, or okayed this, because there's so many similarities there that there's no way that she hadn't had this thing shut down if it was something that she felt was going to be negative, or a bad portrayal of her imagery. Obviously, she has no control over her beehive or her fans, but, the constant references to the real Beyonce, I'm sure she had to approve. And I think it's wonderful, great free publicity for her upcoming tour. So I think this one had to be Beyonce approved. And then of course you have Chloe Bailey, who is her protege in the film. So I'm like, okay, Beyonce has to have okayed this whole thing. So I want you guys to go check it out. It's on Prime TV. Again, Prime is not paying me. Again, I'm just responding to my subscriber who wanted me to do a review. That's about all that I have to give on this particular film. Again, I don't want to give too much away because there will be nothing left for you to watch. But I did give you some of the key notes and some of the things that I think will be fun to watch along the way. Once again, this is Faith and Bishop 2, back with another exciting movie review. I'll see you next time. Love and peace. Have a good night.